Well, the Eagles are taking a couple risks, although they're very calculated risks. And ultimately, it's part of the reason Zack Baun returned to Philly. So let's talk about why that is and the biggest underrated aspect for why you can trust the Birds' defense to return to last year's form. Also, the O-line lost an important piece, but Howie Roseman has already shown signs for his next move to backfill. Plus, the Packers are back to complaining about the Tush Push, and the Eagles proposed an interesting rule change. So let's break all that down and everything else around the Birds. But first, let's run it. Alright guys, I don't know about you, but I've caught myself over the last several days watching BG highlights over and over. Like he's no doubt going to make the Eagles Hall of Fame thanks to a 15-year career where he racked up 487 tackles, 76.5 sacks, and 9 forced fumbles. And yeah, out of those 9, literally the most important forced fumble in franchise history. But he just loves the game and loves Philly, so I gotta imagine he'll stay around in some capacity with the team. Remember, he did say he's going to talk to owner Jeffrey Lurie about a potential role, so I'm curious to see where that ends up. But speaking of Brandon Graham, I'm going to be giving away a signed Brandon Graham jersey to one lucky subscriber of the channel. Just do me a favor and hit the like button on this video, and then to make sure you get an entry, all you need to do is go down to the comment section and type in any comment or memory you have of BG. Now, personally, aside from the several obvious choices of 55, I think it's just how BG embodies Philly and kept the culture and spirits high that's one of the most important values. And even though several guys are going to be gone along with Graham, like Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Oren Burks, Darius Slay, and CJ Gardner-Johnson, All-Pro linebacker Zack Baun is back and believes in the pieces the Eagles have.
I actually didn't want to leave. Just what we built here, the culture here, and honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I was just a piece of the puzzle that was put into a great culture already established. I think the biggest part is the pieces we have in the building. And that's credit to Howie and those guys upstairs for building a solid foundation of a base of a team where you can have guys leave in free agency and still have a solid base there. So I'm really excited for the pieces we have. Very excited for the guys that left as well. I'm very happy for them. But I'm excited for this new look of a team and new look of a defense, especially. And the pieces we have. Look,
I think we all know this, and we're all just about on the same page, but Baun was the biggest get for the defense this offseason. Come on, we're talking about a guy who had 151 tackles, 3.5 sacks, 1 interception, and 5 forced fumbles. Although sure, there's certainly some losses on the team, they will be felt. Yet at the same time, the Birds have 8 of their 11 defensive starters returning next season. Here's the beauty, and honestly, this is something not enough people are talking about, but the Eagles didn't lose any coaches or positional guys on the defensive side of the ball. Meaning all the guys that are remaining with the Eagles get another season to continue building on their progress and development with familiar faces. Like seriously, you tell me how often it is that your core coaches and positional guys all stay after having the #1 defense in the NFL and win the Super Bowl. So that in itself is a huge win. Again, it doesn't get better than the Zack Baun move for Howie Roseman this offseason. However, like the Bald Eagle said, he's excited about the pieces the Birds have, which is the same way Johnny Page feels, saying the Azeez Ojulari signing is an absolute no-brainer. Because his numbers are good, his pass rush win rate is average, but his sack totals are very good, meaning he can clearly convert pressures into sacks. Now, for those not familiar with Ojulari's game, Johnny points out that the new Philly Dawg wins a lot with his length and hand usage to disengage blockers. Granted, if you're watching or know a little bit about his game, then you can recognize that he's not the most explosive off the snap. But again, he just knows how to finish well. So even for those who may knock him as not having the top-notch bend or flexibility, this dude is just a natural finisher in the pass rush. I'll just say this, losing Josh Sweat was a foregone conclusion, or at least most of us felt like losing Josh Sweat was going to happen, but to get Ojulari at $4 million per year to be a rotational guy, I mean, that's almost the best case scenario you could ask for. Also, just another reminder, but the Giants actually offered Azeez, but he wanted to make the Saquon switch and join his fellow Philly Dawgs.
It's amazing because, having that chemistry and that, brotherhood with those guys before, it's just amazing to come back here and just keep it going on and, it's amazing just to have those guys again. We got so many Georgia guys here. And, Nolan, that's my brother for real. All of them really my brother, but Nolan, since we will be in the same room, so we've been in the same room, since Georgia too. So, we're probably more closer to him, but I'm still close with all of them. So, we all share that brotherhood and that relationship we got is amazing. So I'm ready to be here now.
Okay, so I think the biggest question for a lot of people is how does Ojulari fit in this Vic Fangio system? And maybe most importantly, can he drop back into coverage occasionally? which even though he hasn't done much of it, Johnny Page did dig up a couple clips where he's certainly more natural looking than Josh Sweat or Bryce Huff.
I'm still learning, and I'm ready to learn and compete and learn everything and continue to grow. And I feel like it's going to be great. It's going to be a great fit for sure. The way watching the Eagles play last year, how dominant they was, and watching the Super Bowl, saw how they got after the Chiefs, and I feel like it'll be great.
If anything, the biggest weakness is his run defense. But it's still playable, and like Anthony DeBona mentioned recently on a live stream, he's more than likely a pass rush specialist who can occasionally be out there to help stop the run. Now yes, he's had issues with missed tackles, but this is also Fangio's system he's in now. So I think a little improvement can be expected. After all, remember headed into the bye week last season, the Eagles were literally one of the worst teams in tackling. Yet whatever they did during the break worked, as they ended up finishing near the very top in team tackling by the end of the season. Look, for me, it just comes down to if Ojulari can stay healthy, but the low risk, high reward is perfect for this upcoming year. Now, speaking of the low risk, high reward, this feels like a perfect time to mention the sponsor of today's video, Arena Club. I don't know about you, but I used to be all in on card collecting and trading cards, especially right around this time to see who do the Eagles get, who do they draft. However, as I got older, I stopped having the time or space to store my collection. And then after several moves, let's just say I might have misplaced a lot of those cards. But with arenaclub.com, I don't have that issue and can get rid of those binders and boxes, which is exactly why collector Brian Lee and Hall of Famer Derek Jeter launched Arena Club. Because Arena Club is a place where you can show cards and collections while buying, selling, and trading instantly. And right now, when you go to arenaclub.com/Philly and use my code Philly, you can get up to 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. The best part is that this thing's super easy to navigate whether you're on your laptop or the app. Plus, every time you rip a slab pack, Arena Club will make you an instant offer for your card based on its market value. That's right, no guessing, no waiting, you'll get an instant offer of 90% of the estimated value, where then you can accept it on the spot, simple, fast, and risk-free. So go ahead and try them out today. Again, that's code Philly at arenaclub.com/Philly, where you can get up to 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. When you really think about it, the consistent theme with Howie Roseman signing typically have that low-risk, high-reward characteristic. But even more so given this offseason and the situation the Birds are in. For example, like Ruben Frank brought up, tight end Harrison Bryant had a career-low 9 catches last year. Edge Josh Uche has just 5 sacks and nearly 600 snaps the last 2 seasons. Cornerback Adoree Jackson has 2 interceptions in 4,547 snaps in the last 83 games. Running back A.J. Dillon missed last year with a neck injury. Kick returner Avery Williams missed the 2023 season with a torn ACL. And Quinyon Green was the lowest rated guard in the NFL in both of his last 2 years as a starter. Oh yeah, I didn't even get to Patrick Johnson being an edge rusher with no career sacks and 517 career defensive snaps. Tight end Kyle Granson having his catches drop from 61 in 2022 and 2023 to 14 last year. And quarterback Dorian Thompson-Robinson having the worst touchdown to interception ratio in the NFL in the last 40 years. That's it. There's your Eagles offseason haul. And yeah, if you're a normal average NFL team, then sure, that's probably a scary element. But again, you have 17 of the 22 starters remaining. And quite honestly, you tell me, out of the 17 guys returning, what teams can say they have that type of talent there? Now, yeah, there's a lot of question marks for a lot of the guys on the roster, and who knows how many of these dudes end up making it. But to sign guys who were high picks and used to be highly regarded for numbers that don't impact the cap is personally a great investment. Plus, the majority of these moves are really just insurance in case guys like Tyler Steen, Keely Ringo, or Sidney Brown don't pan out. Yet it's pretty obvious from players outside the building like Adoree Jackson as to how well Philly has been able to get the most out of their young players.
I'm not going to lie, I really liked Mitchell. I remember saying it, I don't know what game we were watching on tape. I'm like, damn, I haven't seen a rookie play that well. You know, it's been a while. And then Cooper doing his thing. Yeah, that was a trip. Because you know they had the thing about first white DB to play since whatever. So to see him thrive and do his thing, and being a DB, it made me smile. So it's always cool to see somebody else, especially in the position that you're in, knowing how tough it is, and the stuff that you go up against, and to see those two thrive, especially at a young age, it put a smile on my face.
Look, even if just one of these low-risk, high-reward signings pans out, then we're in a great spot. After all, that's not even getting into the draft talk or potential of players to add there, which quite honestly, in my mind, will be more of a boost to this roster than the majority of these recent signings. Now, if you're not up to date on where the Eagles are in terms of their top 30 visits, don't worry because they've really just started announcing them, with the second one being Oregon offensive lineman Josh Connerly. And like Anthony DeBona reminded, Connerly already met with the Eagles at the Senior Bowl and now gets another formal visit in Philly. Look, this is a guy I'd keep my eye on. Because first off, any top 30 visit is telling, but also Connerly has an impressive athletic profile and actually made the move from running back to offensive lineman as a sophomore in high school. And at just 21 years old, FYI, the Oregon Duck won't turn 22 until November, he's got plenty of time to grow into a solid starter. Plus, the reason this makes even more sense is right now Connerly is projected somewhere around the latter part of the first round or early part of the second round. I mean, if anything, the biggest drawback that doesn't make him a surefire first rounder is that he lacks ideal play strength and sometimes experiences anchor troubles against power rushers at 6'5", 311 pounds. Yet still, if you want to see how he could project into the future, then his performance against Penn State's Abdul Carter should be more than enough, as Connerly, for the most part, was able to keep the future top 5 or, top 3 pick in check. Obviously, it's early and we still got like a month before the draft, but personally, I'd be alright if Philly ended up taking Connerly there at 32, albeit, I'd probably lean towards D-line at that spot, at least as of right now. Granted, I've seen a couple different comments recently wondering why the Eagles would draft a potential for Lane Johnson's replacement, especially with him just signing an extension through 2027. Except how many times have we seen the Birds do exactly that to allow a year or two for a young player to learn behind one of the GOATs? Plus, come on, after the Birds lost Fred Johnson to the Jaguars on a one-year deal, I'd say having a dude who can fill in, especially when both offensive tackles missed games last season, is well worth the investment.
Where I'm at in my career, I love, talking to the younger guys and helping these guys out, and you can see their game develop. And, being able to pass that stuff down the way that it was passed down to me is a cool thing. And, it's not like that at every place. Like I said, I think the culture here has been this way for a long time, and that players have always looked out for the best interests of the team and the organization, and so I would be honored to be a part of that process. Whoever we draft and whoever we bring in, I'll be here to help.
I know it's obvious, we all realize it, but this culture is just different. Of course, I wish Fred Johnson and others well as they head off to their other squads. Yet even though losing Fred has left a hole and the Eagles were 5-1 in the games he started last season, he actually graded out as the 76th tackle out of 85 players, thanks to his 8 sacks allowed in those 6 games. So ultimately, it's not a major loss. But maybe they go the route of the draft to replace or also keep your eye on DeJean Kennard, who Jeff Stoutland has continued to stash away and may get an opportunity this upcoming season. I mean, we are talking about a guy who was able to accomplish the unheard-of three-peat. Remember, he was with the Chiefs for 2 of those, and then this past season obviously came over to Philly and got the 3rd. Anyway, there is another offensive lineman to mention since Purdue's Marcus Mbow received the 3rd top 30 visit invite from the Birds. And in case you're not as up on him, Mbow is a 6'4", 300-pound redshirt junior who started all 12 games at right tackle last season. However, he's played at both right guard and right tackle. Now he might be a little undersized, but multiple scouts share the same thought that he makes up for that with athleticism, hustle, and elite instincts. Granted, the general consensus is that most scouts are kind of thinking he'll move back to guard at the NFL level because of that undersized, not having the strength, so I don't necessarily think that he's a replacement for Lane. However, if we're looking to add some depth on the interior, then Mbow is someone that I think could make some sense with Philly's 3rd round pick. How about you guys, though? Who are some prospects that you want to see Philly bring in for visits or that you want to see me feature in an upcoming video? Let me know in the comments. Reminder, if you're wondering who the first top 30 visit reported was, that was NC State's Anthony Belton, who played left tackle at 6'5", 345 pounds and has an impressive ability to win in pass blocking. Granted, many scouts believe he'll eventually move over to right tackle and is projected to go somewhere toward the end of the 3rd round. Still, either way, given the athleticism and the fact that he earned the nickname Escalade due to his size and ability to change directions, it's pretty evident the Eagles are looking toward O-line. By the way, there's also another prospect in that space that Zack Baun reported, as the Eagles hosted Iowa State O-lineman Jalen Travis. Okay, so if you're not familiar with this dude, he's a monster, standing at 6'8" and weighing 340 pounds. And the crazy part is that even at that size, he ranked as the 4th most athletic tackle at the Combine. But unlike some of these other dudes that have the positional versatility, Travis is strictly a tackle. However, with that size and nearly 35-inch arms, when he's able to use his length, it's almost over from the start. It's really just the biggest issue has a lot to do with fundamental stuff, such as lack of leverage, sloppy hand placement, and just an average amount of foot quickness. Now, even saying that, this would be one of those targets that's a later round pickup, yet knowing how Stoutland can improve and mold guys, it might not be the worst pickup.
You know, I like to tell teams, like, you're getting a humble, dedicated worker. You know, someone who's going to show up every single day, be the same Jalen. Someone who's going to contribute to your organization day one, as both a, you know, on the field guy, but also a locker room guy. And that's who I am. You know, I bring guys together and, you know, to accomplish the same goal. And I'm someone who's excited to come to work every single day to accomplish that mission, you know, at all costs.
Of course, on the topic of O-line, it feels appropriate to mention that the Packers did officially propose to ban the Tush Push. Okay, I guess we kind of already knew that, but why wouldn't you when you're a team that can't run it and also can't stop it? And then the NFL did decide to release the official language proposed by the Packers, where they'd like the rule to read, no offensive player may immediately at the snap push or throw his body against a teammate who was lined up directly behind the snapper and received the snap to aid him in an attempt to gain yardage. Translation, Philly's too good at it and it's unfair and we can't do it, so please ban it. I mean, the hilarious part to this is that Green Bay filed this as a player safety thing, or at least one of their main reasons for motivation as like the argument to ban it is player safety. But then the NFL did an independent study that looked at all the past season of plays for the brotherly shove, and not a single player got injured there. Remember, 24 of the 32 teams would have to vote yes to ban this play, so it's pretty unlikely that that ends up happening. Although as ridiculous as those proposals may be, the NFC North kept up a couple others, with the Lions proposing to remove automatic first downs for defensive holding or illegal contact penalties. I mean, if my defense got torched to knock me out of the playoffs, I'd probably be upset too, but that seems a bit extreme. Yet they didn't stop there, as Detroit also proposed a change that would allow wildcard teams to be seeded higher than division winners based on record. Again, I don't think that one's going to fly, but considering the NFC North's record last year and maybe the Lions looking at the division saying the Bears are gearing up, Packers are still there, Vikings, who knows, maybe it doesn't hurt them necessarily, go ahead and make that rule change. Now look, the one rule change that I do think makes sense is the Eagles wanting to make the regular season and postseason overtime rules the same. Since as it currently stands, if a team scores a touchdown in the regular season overtime, the game is over. Whereas in the postseason, regardless of if a team scores a touchdown, the other team gets the ball. Okay, yes, with that offense, sure, there's maybe a little selfish bias towards that rule, but it does make a lot of sense too. Anyway, I do need to say congrats to the latest winner of the signed Cooper DeJean helmet on the last giveaway. As Ben Lusick 9311 had his name drawn, but as always, Ben, I need to hear back from you. Just email me at thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com or respond to the pinned comment in this video. As always, if Ben does not claim it within a week, I'll give it away to some other subscribers, so make sure to subscribe, turn the notifications on. Please be on the lookout for scammers. I'm not going to message you guys as a bestie or package or weird spelling, anything like that. I'm verified by YouTube, so there's a check mark next to the name. Just be vigilant out there. All right, with that being said, let me know what you think about all this latest Eagles news, everything else. Until next time, this has been the Philly Special.